Alright everyone, this is part 2 to the electric fence and control boxes. Pardon, but we've had a little bit of a mess this week. We had a hawk attack, and so I had to scramble around and build a topiary, and I've been feeling very sad about it because the girls have been used to pretty much free-ranging this whole backyard all the way to the fence. I'll walk over here and get a backup. And now we've had to cut them down to this 12 by a little 30 space, and I'm not liking it, so gonna have to keep working on improving this. But as you can see, once we get the whole thing covered, they've got a huge area for just 6 chickens right now. But this video is mainly focusing on the Premier One electric fence, which I don't even have turned on right now. Everything is pretty well been pretty safe, except for when the hawk got a hold of little lowrider. That's what I'm renamed her now, is little lowrider. It's actually the one right there in the corner with the white on her. She didn't have that much white before, but you can see here's all of her little feathers where the hawk got a hold of her, and just thankfully my neighbor was home, saw it happen. I know, girls, we're going to get you spread out. They're so upset here the last few days. They just don't understand why we've taken their freedom away. They're not quite smart enough to figure that out. Anyway, this is the Premier One. You can get it on their website directly. Premier One, they have several different sizes of electric fencing, and I gotta be honest with you, it's really super simple to put in. The only hard thing about this fence is just making sure that you don't let it get tangled. And the bigger it is, the better it is to get somebody to help you, get help with it, where you have an extra set of hands if you can. At least if you're a 50-year-old woman like me, who, I mean, yeah, I can do a lot of stuff on my own, but the more help I have nowadays, the happier I feel about it. I was gonna try to walk around and show you one accident I did have. Right here you can see how it's kind of pulled out of whack, and I can take a zip tie and just pull that back together. But the great thing about it is that the fence, even though it went through that problem right there, it's still fine. Like, nothing hurt it. It's still, I mean, it's very active when you have it turned on. I'll go into that here in a second. But what happened was that I had a draw tie, if you will, and I had it pulled down and I had it staked into the ground, and I was mowing, and I thought for sure I was missing it, but I guess there was a little tail part of the little string I had tied. There was one little tail part that had gotten down in the grass, and it got a hold of it, and it just ripped it fast. And it actually, as a matter of fact, it snapped back so fast that somehow it wrapped around my hand, and I got a nice little blood blister out of it. But this fence, gonna try to show you here. I don't know if it'll zoom in that closely or not. You can see it glimmering. Alright, that is metal wiring. And so what you have here on this is, anywhere where you see the yellow is actually energized when you turn the controller on. Every bit of that has those really fine little metal wires in it, in the yellow. So what you do is you make sure you have a full connection. And the way I did it here, because of the little hen house I built, was I actually made me a jumper right there and just connected to the end of that with a gator. And then I ran that wiring, and you see it underneath of right there, like on the base of the hoop. I ran it all the way over to the other side, and I connected the other end like that to connect them together. And then what you do is you take another gator and you connect it with a power wire, and then you run it over to your box. And on this box we chose to put it, this is the first one we did, and put it in this pretty, you know, just a little small toolbox here. And basically these are just to keep them protected, keep them out of the weather. But in there you got it, the Bridia, like Bridia Fence Energizer. See if that'll focus in. But you got your hot and you got your ground. And then I just ran it into the ground there on the white wire. You see it. Actually, on this one I have a ground rod, and there you can see a Kearney. I actually did a ground rod on this one because I knew this was going to be stationary and permanent. And then this Defiant is one of those smart switch controllers that's controlled by a remote, so that way we can be standing basically up at the back deck or wherever and just hit that remote and turn it on. So it's a very inexpensive controller and really gets the job done. And believe it or not, when you have this thing connected and you don't have anything grounding it out, and that's the reason I don't have it on right now, honestly, is I need to pull it apart or pull it tight, and you got to make sure you keep everything off of the bottom of it. And I've just been fooling with the other part of what's going on with the chickens, and then a dog with a bad foot, and just battling the cold weather. So I haven't tidied this up here in a little bit, but that's what it needs, is to be pulled tight. And then you got to make sure, like, see how this grass and stuff's growing around it. Really shouldn't let that happen, because the more contact it makes with certain things, the more it's going to ground it out, and it takes away how much voltage you got on there. But when you got this thing in prime condition, it's not grounding out on anything, this fence will actually put out about 6,000 volts of electricity. And for anyone who doesn't know anything about electricity, no, it doesn't kill anyone if they touch it. It doesn't hurt. You think it hurts for a split second. It really throws you for a loop. I've seen a couple dogs go into it so far, and let's just say they only do it one time and they never do it again. Unfortunately, one of the chickens did hit it one day, and then I, as a matter of fact, was the very first one who felt what it feels like. And I did that while I was getting it hooked up. And what I did was, and the reason you see I actually have this insulated now like a smart electrician would, originally I didn't have this insulated very well, and I was hooking it up, I was doing all the finishing touches, and I went to just touch this onto the fence, and when I did, my hand somehow hit the back of this, I guess, and it did really light me up like the 4th of July. But I lived to tell about it. And the dogs who hit it, they lived to tell about it too, and I guess they told all their friends because they haven't came and tried to do it anymore. So anyway, it's a Premier One electric bird, electric poultry fence, I think it was called, or just electric fencing. Premier One yellow electric fencing. Google that and you can find it. And then the Bridia electric fence energizer is the control box, and it's Bridea. So hope that helps. Much love.